Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to break down this Jacksonville Jaguars team so everybody watching, and including myself, understands who this team is down to a granular level. I have been playing with the data all morning, hence why I'm a bit late on today's stream. And I'm pretty confident that I understand what makes this team tick, how I think the Buffalo Bills are going to attack them, so on and so forth. We're planning keys to a victory today on the show, and I can't wait to dive into it with each and every single one of you. As always, you guys know the deal. I'm going to ask each and every single one of you to hit that thumbs up sign for me. It's the easiest way to show love over here. It propels this out to the YouTube algorithm so more Bills fans and more NFL fans can join our live chat community. I also want to know where each and every single one of you are tapping in from. Let me know. Where are you tuning in from? What corner of the globe, what corner of the continental United States are you watching from today? Do not be shy. I'm talking to all of the lurkers in the building, man. Even if you don't participate in the chat all day, I got to know where you're tapping in from, man. Let me know. Guys, we need to give a couple of shout outs to some proud partners today, starting off with our good friend William Matar. Man, we're going to be partnering with William at least for another year, which is a beautiful thing. If you are ever hurt in a car, you have to call William Matar, #1 car accident attorney in the state of New York. I would not wish a car accident on my worst enemy, but say that it does happen. It's very important to have the right person in your corner. Look no further than William Matar. Phone number is on the screen. Go on ahead and memorize this, folks. You will not be sorry. Also need to give a giant shout out to our good friends over on Sleeper. Folks, Sleeper, #1 player prop platform on the market today. I'm sure a lot of us are getting very excited about playoff football time. And say that you want to put your money where your mouth is, everybody. You can go on ahead and sign up and put together a perfect parlay to walk out a winner. Best part about it is that your first parlay is practically on the house because you get $20 just for signing up. Link is in bio. I'm noticing a lot of you guys are in like Virginia, South Carolina, Florida in the chat already. That application is available where you are, folks. Don't miss out on a free $20 hairs. That much I can tell you. Let's lock in and get down to business. Funny enough, not Bills related, but a lot of you are talking about this already. Mike McDaniel fired from the Miami Dolphins. Not so much of a surprise. I think a lot of us understand that this was a scapegoat type fire. I think sometimes when you're starting from literally rock bottom, you have to burn the entire bridge. I've actually lived by this motto for a long time. Never burn bridges, but if you do, burn them to the fucking ground. I've always lived my life like that. And that's what Miami has been doing, okay, with Mike McDaniel. He was literally just a casualty from the Tua era. Tua ended up getting him fired. Basically how it all turns out. As Bills fans, we certainly will miss him, but I'm super curious to see where our divisional rival goes going into the offseason. But he is officially fired, ladies and gentlemen. But let's get into the important things here. This Jacksonville Jaguars team. I want to understand exactly how we're going to be attacking this very sky-high hot offense and defense at the end of the day. All right, man. Hamburg is in the building. I'm from Hamburg, baby. I went to Cloverbank Elementary School. I went to Frontier Middle School all the way up until 8th grade. Look at that small world. Ankey, Iowa is in the building. Go Bills. This is the year. James, you and I are on the same page, my friend. Lexington, South Carolina, what is going on? Checking in from Syracuse. Go Bills from Geneva, New York. Rochester, New York. Still in Tijuana, Mexico. Enjoy your extended vacation. Not unless you're from there, Jonah. And my boy Jonah said that I am his drug earlier. I love that. I absolutely love that. Baltimore is in the building. Dallas, Texas is in here with these off-brand Cowboys. Go Bills. Interesting. Jacksonville, Florida. Auburn, New York is in the building. Salisbury, Pennsylvania is in here. H-Town, Texas. Go Buffalo Bills. I'm from Washington. Brooklyn is in the building. Dallas, Texas. Miami, Florida. Ontario is in here. Shawnee, Oklahoma. Salem, Virginia. Dan the man, I'm so effing nervous about this game. Don't worry about it, my friend. I'm paving a path. Ready to go. Hope all is well, Dan. Let's get it done. I agree, man. Listen, we're going to try and put together a game plan together here. As I go through these advanced analytics, guys, I want you guys to also take this information I'm giving you and let me know Like, how do you think that the Buffalo Bills can attack some of these perceived weaknesses? Because one thing that's a common misconception, and we can find ourselves being guilty of this with our Buffalo Bills. A lot of the times, we very rarely look down to a granular level and understand how teams could attack us based off of our specific weaknesses. And it oftentimes goes a hell of a lot deeper than just rush yards per game. It goes a hell of a lot deeper than yards per carry. It goes so deep that it's really to a point where you're looking at how do teams hurt us in the run game from different coverage looks, right? Or like, how do teams end up dominating us in the run game based off of different run types? It goes deep, and we're going deep, baby. Bite the pillow. Daddy's coming in dry. All right. I'm just kidding. Smash that like button for me, folks. Let's go on ahead and get into it. Starting off with the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Starting off with this one. Now, very hot offense. They have won 8 straight games. Started off the season, I wanted to say 5-4, rattled off their last 8. And it's been a pretty exciting offense to watch, right? They add Jacoby Myers at the trade deadline, which has opened up a lot of things on the intermediate side of the field. Parker Washington has become their deep threat out of the slot. He virtually came out of nowhere, at least from an NFL fan type perspective. With Brian Thomas Jr., we understand who he is. He had a great rookie season. Him and Trevor just haven't been able to establish a lot of chemistry. He looked much better with Mac Jones. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles when it comes into QB and wide receiver chemistry. He still provides a bit of a deep threat at the end of the day, but he's scared of contact. So how I'm looking at this overall passing attack, it's going to be Parker Washington, and it's also going to be Jacoby Myers, who is your third down guy, if you will. But let's take a look at how this team performs at a granular level. Let's tap in. As far as total EPA, this team is ranked 12th in the NFL. Passing EPA, they are ranked 9th in the NFL. The past 8 weeks, they have looked a lot better. Rushing EPA, they are 12th in the NFL. But this is where things get interesting for me, okay? Third down conversion rate, only 39.17%. That is 19th in the NFL. Who remembers when Buffalo fans would get frustrated on our own offense for not being able to be consistent when it comes into third down? The Jacksonville Jaguars are very inconsistent when it comes into third down. So I'm starting to think about a key. I'm not sure about you. Fourth down conversion, they're sitting at about 13th in the NFL. Red zone scoring rate, they are top 10, 61% of the time. They will score once there. And defensive strength of schedule. This was a stat that I thought about this morning on the treadmill while I was wrapping up my workout. I was curious to see what all of the playoff teams, how they ranked based off of defensive strength of schedule only, right? Not in totality of strength of schedule, offense, special teams, and defense, but what kind of defenses were they going up against? And when you were to combine the entire schedule from the Jacksonville Jaguars, the most common point was that they played on average the 16th ranked defense in the NFL. You could take that or leave it. I thought that it was an interesting data point where with the Buffalo Bills, we would have been at 17th. So relatively close here. Relatively close. But let's take a look a little bit on what this offense is stylistically from the pass game, okay? Passing yards, they are 11th in the NFL for 4,026 yards per attempt. They are 11th at 7.2. Touchdowns, 29 of them. They are 8th in the NFL. And interceptions, 12th in the NFL, and that is 19th. Vast majority of the interceptions from Trevor began at the 5-4 start. He has cleaned that up toward the back half of the season. But you know what that means for me, brother? That means he's about damn due. You know what I mean? Anyway, points per game, they're sitting at 27.9 points per game. That is 11th in the NFL. Past couple of weeks, past 8 weeks, they are sitting at 33.3. However, how much weight do you want to put in on the 48 points they hung up on the New York Jets and the 41 that they ended up putting up against the Tennessee Titans? I will let you be the judge of that. But 27.9 collectively, I think, is truly who they are. Yards per attempt, 7.2. That is 11th. Turnover-worthy play rate, 17th in the NFL. Again, this was more toward the beginning of the season. They've cleaned it up ever since, but 17th in the league. Yards after the catch. This is a big one right here, folks, because this really identifies exactly who they are as a team. They do not get yards after the catch. They don't. They are ranked 24th in the NFL, only 1,600 yards. And when you ultimately end up seeing some other things that I pulled from Trevor Lawrence, you're going to understand one key or one sort of like pick as far as their identity. This team likes to stretch the field. So they have a massive average depth of target. They love pounding the intermediate and deep routes at the end of the day. And Trevor Lawrence is toward the bottom of the league when it comes into throwaways and also checkdowns. He's 30th in the NFL for checkdowns. So as far as dink and dunk is concerned, he just doesn't do it. This team, big play chases. It's not particularly a bad thing because Trevor and Parker Washington's chemistry, if you will, that has really been a dynamic for this squad. But when you're looking at their like wide receivers, we're not going to have to worry about these guys dinking and dunking. And as far as tackling is concerned, most defenses have no problem bringing down the wide receivers after the catch. What this number tells me is that a lot of these wide receivers are possession type players. It's effective. It's been working for them. But for a team, as far as the Buffalo Bills defense, if tackling is your concern, data just doesn't suggest that that's something we need to be worried about. So something we're going there. Yak per attempt, 2.9. That's 27th in the NFL. So this is going to come out with one of the biggest first keys that I want this Buffalo Bills defense to operate under. Too high safety shell. Too high safety shell. This is what Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills defense have been doing ever since he has taken over this team. What I need them to do is run predominantly too high safety shell. Trevor has been looking pretty good against it, but I think that we need to force Trevor to go underneath. There's no yards after the catch. They struggle on third down. They can't run the football, in which that we are about to get here shortly. But the key for me, too high safety shell. Cover two man. Once you end up looking at Trevor's completion percentage versus man coverage versus zone, he's completing 56% of his passes against man coverage. Cover two, too high safety shell, man coverage for the most part. Get them into third and long situations. They struggle tremendously in this category. Yards per game, 236.9. Explosive plays, 9th in the NFL when it comes into their passing game. Hence that they big play hunt quite a bit. Receiver open rate, which is kind of interesting here, right? 35.5% of the time. I honestly just go live every single day, and I'm not even hunting for data that pushes my narrative that the Buffalo Bills receiving core in general, including tight ends, including running backs, is a lot better than people give them credit for. Because funny enough, we look at this Jaguars receiving core and we think, oh my God, Parker Washington, BTJ, you have Jacoby Myers. Guess what? The Buffalo Bills are 11th in the NFL in this category, and Jacksonville is at 21st. Wow, look at that. But anyway, so receiver open rate, only at about 35.5%, but when they do make plays, they make the most out of them. And wide open rate, 7.3%. They are 28th in the NFL. That is who they are as a team. Moving forward, as far as tendencies, and let me know your thoughts here, okay? First read throw rate, 7th in the NFL, meaning that Trevor Lawrence, for the most part, is top 10 in throwing to his first read. He's not particularly a quarterback that likes going past that. And now it all makes all the sense in the world. Why did it take 6 years for Trevor Lawrence to finally figure it out and put it together? I would say that Liam Cohen is, at least to a point, simplifying this offense for Trevor Lawrence, making sure that his first read is the go-to. A very similar sort of analysis that I was giving on Daniel Jones earlier this season prior to his injury. You saw him slowly but surely start to regress once defenses figured that out. But first read, that's a big part of Trevor Lawrence's game. When he ends up progressing into his second read or his third read, his efficiency completely plummets. Something to think about there. Sean McDermott, you can give him a bunch of shit, but one thing I can tell you is that he is very, very good at being able to take away something from this squad. Who is that going to be? Play action, 19th in the NFL. That's only 22.2%. This team struggles running the football, so I'm not surprised here. Deep throw rate, 13.3%. That is 7th. Like I said, no yards after the catch. You have Trevor. He does not throw the football away, and he is dead last in the league, or one of the dead last QBs in the league that takes checkdowns. He is a I'm about to throw the football over them mountains type QB. So that's where we're at. Throwaway rate, 2%, 31st in the NFL, like I mentioned. 12th in the NFL for scramble rate, which Trevor has been actually a threat on the ground this year, has quite a few rushing touchdowns. Check down rate, like I mentioned, 30th in the NFL. Pressure rate, he's only experiencing about 27.8% of a pressure rate. That is 9th in the NFL. 15th in the NFL for time to pressure. That is 2.47 seconds. Time to throw, 2.68 seconds. That is 15th. And QB fault sacks, 11. That is 14th in the NFL. As far as formations, ladies and gentlemen, they live in 11 personnel. 65.2% of the Jacksonville Jaguars offensive plays here go out of 11 personnel, followed by 12 personnel, which is at 18.5%. Everything else is far into the single digits. Sometimes they'll add an extra offensive lineman when it comes into 11. Sometimes they'll add an extra offensive lineman when it comes into 12. But rest be assured, 11 is their bread and butter. That is likely what we are going to be rocking with at the end of the day. So, moving on, have some Jaguars offensive line EPA. Now, very good squad. They don't have a single Pro Bowler. They don't have an all-pro type player, okay? However, they work together well as a unit. They do, right? You ultimately ended up having Walker Little, who was at one point paid to be their starting left tackle, but you ultimately ended up having Cole Van Lanen step up, just ended up getting an extension a couple of weeks ago, and Walker Little, for the most part, has been moved over to right guard to fill in for Patrick McCarry, who has been dealing with injuries thus far. Walker Little, in my opinion, as far as Bills fans are concerned, I would probably compare him to what Alec Anderson means to this team for this offensive line. But when it comes into where they rank amongst their position, 13th, Robert Hainsey is the 13th ranked center in the NFL. 35th, Ezra Cleveland, left guard, 35th ranked at right guard. That's interesting. Cole Van Lanen, 29th among left tackles. And then right tackle Antoine Harrison, who is 26th ranked in the NFL per EPA. They've been looking a hell of a lot better toward the end of the season. I do acknowledge that, but this is who they are collectively throughout the season. I look at how this offensive line is structured, and surprisingly enough, I really like how our edge rushers match up against both Anton Harrison and Cole Van Lanen. I like how both of those matchups really trend on the Buffalo Bills' way. Joey Bosa, he's going to have his hands filled. But look, at the end of the day, Cole Van Lanen, he was just paid. He's looked good. He's dealing with a bit of a knee injury. He's probably going to play, but he's still young and he's inexperienced at the left tackle position. This is something where a seasoned vet like Joey Bosa, I think, could make an impact on the defensive line. I really, really do. Maybe Deion Walker can have some chops, man. Maybe TJ Sanders goes on a heater in the playoffs. Who knows? But as far as this offensive line, they exceed expectations. And while they're not star-studded, they work relatively well with each other when it comes into as a unit. So let's talk about this run offense. You've heard me talk about this all week long, and I got to tell you what, I do not think this team is going to be able to run against us at all. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably just like, Dan, what are you talking about, dude? Like, we got to talk about it. Our run defense sucks. While I give the same respect to the Jacksonville Jaguars for putting into consideration their last 8 games of the season offensively, I have to be able to do the exact same thing with the Buffalo Bills run defense so far this year. And something I feel like that not a lot of us talk about, and something I feel like that we need to have a conversation about, is we're worried about our run defense, but these were the last 6 starting running backs against the Buffalo Bills defense. The last 6, folks. Jalen Warren, 10 attempts for 35 yards, 3.5 yards per carry. Chase Brown, 12 attempts, 23 yards, 1.9 yards per carry. Trevion Henderson, 14, 148, 10.6. If you end up taking away that second half, like 70-plus yard run, it is much more feasible. Quinshon Judkins, 8 attempts for 22 yards, 2.8. And Saquon Barkley, 19 for 68 and 3.6 yards per carry. That, at the very least, should give you confidence that we're starting to figure it out. We need to give a lot of credit to Shaq Thompson for really being able to put our run defense at completely new levels and go from there. But don't always go in thinking that any team can run against us, because we have really figured it out throughout the past 6 weeks. We sincerely have. Rushing offense. Let's talk about this. Rushing offense. And by the way, Sean actually comes in something pretty interesting as well. He says, let's not forget AJ is a Jag killer. His best games are always versus the Jaguars. Absolutely. Absolutely. I did not know that, but I'm going to add that into my overall game plan, baby. I love each and every single piece of it. I really do. So right now we have Jaguars rushing offense. Again, like I said, not a very good unit. 20th in the NFL for total yards, 27th in yards per carry. That is 4 yards. Fumbles 4 for the most part. While they struggle as far as a consistent rushing attack, they do hold on to the football. So that's at least ideal. Red zone carries 113. That is second. They do the most running of the football in the red zone. Something to think about. Yards before contact, 1.9. That is 25th in the NFL. Yards after contact, 2.1. That is 21st in the NFL. Forced missed tackles, 17.6%. That is 24th in the NFL, meaning not very difficult to take down Travis Etienne. He's fast, but he's not very good at taking his respective angles, right? Explosive runs, and this should make us feel very good, folks, all right? 9.8% of the time they get an explosive run. That is 10-plus yards on each and every single attempt. That is 24th in the NFL, all right? We're not going to be going up against a Derrick Henry type rushing attack where literally any moment could be a 10-plus yard run downfield. This is just not who that team is. And they are stuffed 20.2% of the time behind the line of scrimmage. That is 23rd ranked in the NFL. So, as I am showing you guys right here, not really much of a rushing attack that I think Buffalo at least should have a lot of issues with, as long as we end up going into the game healthy and coming out of the game healthy as well. Here's what it is. If you want to take a look at like how they like to run the football, they run inside zone the most out of 25.6%. That's 17th ranked in the NFL. They run outside zone 19.2% of the time. They're not very good at either of those, well into the negatives when it comes into EPA. Power is their best, but they don't have too many attempts on this. 6.1%, that's 21st. And then man duo at 17.4%, that's 24th in the NFL. Right around even average EPA with that, and then counter as well at 4.1%. So when you look at it, their most frequent run type is inside zone, and they're well below average when it comes into EPA per attempt. So this team struggles. It makes sense since play action is not a big part of their game. This is a passing offense, right? This is a passing offense where Trevor Lawrence is trying to throw the ball deep. He's trying to hit Jacoby Myers on the deep and intermediates. He's trying to get Parker Washington vertical right down the sideline. That's who they are as a team. And then also show a little bit of respect right to their tight ends, but you're only ever getting, for the most part, one of them at a time via 11 personnel. So here are my keys for what I think that Buffalo needs to do as far as the defensive side of the football. I've already, sort of broken this down already. Number one is we need to limit the big play. And how we do that is that we run a lot of too high safety shell. That's what you do. Trevor Lawrence has been looking pretty good against too high safety shell so far this year. He's testing that back seven. However, if you want to force Trevor Lawrence to keep it underneath, he does not take checkdowns. They are not very good at yards after the catch. You are more than not going to create third and long situations for them And that is not their best situation as an offense. As I've already pointed out, 19th in the NFL for converting those. So make sure you take away the big play and go from there. Number 2, be strategic on who you put on each wide receiver. How I look at this attack, and with Maxwell Harrison likely being out on Sunday, I feel like Buffalo needs to pick their poison. It's between, do we want Jacoby Myers to hurt us, or do we want Parker Washington to hurt us? My vote is we let Parker Washington hurt us, and we completely take Jacoby Myers out of the game. How you take Jacoby Myers out of the game? It's quite simple. You put Christian Benford on him. He has had a stellar back half of the season. He held Jamar Chase to a pedestrian stat line by his sake, at least. And you just hope that Taron Johnson, with some safety help behind him, can limit some of those explosive plays from Parker Washington. With BTJ, he's probably going to be put into at least a tad of a factor, but I honestly think it's only going to take the threat of Cole Bishop potentially hitting him for him to be completely wiped out of the game. I have never seen a wide receiver more afraid of contact in my entire life. So step number 2, obviously, is put Benford on Jacoby Myers. He is the receiver I need to take out of this game. And then number 3, need a big game. Need a big game from our defensive line, right? This offensive line over in Jacksonville has been exceeding expectations based off of the quality of players they have on this line. But a lot of them are inexperienced. A lot of them are playing out of position. And I think that while we are decimated at the defensive line, I still think that there need to be some sort of opportunities. While Trevor Lawrence, right, only has 11 quarterback faulted sacks, he holds onto the ball for a very long time. He does not throw a check down, and he does not throw the football away. That opens up our defensive line to make plays and to bring him down. I also think that we need to really ramp up these simulated pressures. Send the Christian Benford blitz. Send the Matt Milano blitz. It all connects, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw that Trevor Lawrence is top 10 in first read throws. If we can at least mimic and get it right 60% of the time, if Sean McDermott can predict 60% of the time, even less than that, 40% of the time who the first read is, there are going to be so many opportunities to send a blitz to Trevor Lawrence and completely take him off of his game. It's just how it is. Yeah. So those are my 3 keys for the Buffalo Bills defense to limit the Jacksonville Jaguars. Folks, right before we end up going into the defensive side of the football, how about you do me a favor? How about you give me your questions and or statements? And statements, let me know if there's anything that you learned from this segment that I may have missed that might be an interesting key based off of the data that we just ended up going over together. I'd be very curious to see where your thoughts are. Connor Murphy, at times we've let quarterbacks get loose and run on us. With the Jags stretching the field, are you concerned with Trevor's legs? Appreciate what you do, Dan. Go Bills. We have Connor Murphy. Yes, that is a big part of his game. It really, really is. But what I would like to do is to utilize Dorian Williams in those sort of spy mirror player that we have been doing for the past couple of games when we went up against a mobile quarterback. I really think that that's how we go. Like, look, this team is going to hurt us in one particular way. It's in football, right? Like, that's why these guys get paid. It's to leverage what this team does from a weakness perspective. So in my opinion, as far as who do I think will consistently hurt us rather than who will occasionally hurt us, I think it's Jacoby Myers who would consistently hurt us. So say that I had to pick one player to take away, and that includes Trevor's legs, Myers, or Parker Washington. I'm picking Jacoby Myers every single time and twice on Sunday. Take him away and then do whatever you can. Mix in as many disguise coverages as humanly possible. Mix in some man coverage every now and again too. and take that damn football away, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Take that damn football away. Have you ever met any of the players? If so, what one? Damon has come into the building. A lot of former players in person. So I interviewed Landon Jackson at the Senior Bowl last year. I'm trying to think. So I also interviewed Maxwell Harrison at the Senior Bowl last year too. So not while they were a Buffalo Bill, but right before they were going into the draft process. I'm going to be doing the exact same thing here in a couple of weeks, folks. Fun fact, me and Roundtable Sports, we're heading down to Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl. And I'm going to have access to all of the prospects coming into the draft. So I'm going to be talking to KC Conception. Okay, he's a wide receiver a lot of Bills fans like. Let me know if there's any questions that you would like me to let him know. And do you expect Trevor Lawrence to run more, especially in the red zone? It seems like he runs more now, which unlocked his season. Yes, most definitely. I think that that's going to be a key for this team. So the biggest thing is for me is that we need to put this Jacksonville Jaguars team into third and long situations, right? Because they struggle with third down more than several teams in the NFL. I feel weirdly confident about this game. I really think James Cook will have a day. Josh Griffin, have no fear, man, because we are about to transition over to the Jacksonville Jaguars defense and go from there. Do we get rid of McDermott if we lose this game? No. I think that a lot of Bills fans will be protesting outside of the stadium, but no, I don't think that the ownership is going to do it. CB pick 6 on Jacoby Myers. I would absolutely love that question. And do you think offense should prioritize pass pro due to Allen's foot injury or try to get downfield plays? So here's the thing. Based off of where he stands as far as his injury, he's not fully healed. But at the end of the day, every single player in the NFL right now is at a bare minimum 3 out of 10 pain index and is dealing with some sort of injury. It's just part of the game. As far as the Bills' offensive line is concerned, they have the significant mismatch, right? And that's on our side in a positive light. We win that matchup for the Buffalo Bills offensive line and their defensive line. We just do. We have the best tackles in the game. While Josh Hines Allen is good, I guess, and while like Walker is pretty solid as well, this team doesn't generate a lot of QB hits, sacks, and or pressure in general. So I think Buffalo maybe sometimes we'll be adding a couple of extra offensive linemen, but regardless, we're going to be having plenty of blocking help with the 13 personnel that I think Buffalo is going to be using quite often with. That's me. Richie Fresh is coming in saying, we get a BTA these boys Sunday, Dan. Not a worry in the world. Not saying the road is easy, but Jags are the biggest barrier, in my opinion. Got me running through walls. Dude, Richie Fresh, me too, brother. Me too. Folks, I just had a DoorDash delivery of my tall boy liquid deaths. I'm going to be right back. While I'm gone, though, and look, I'm not just saying this. I need a roll call in the chat. I need to know where everybody is tuning in from. Do not be shy, folks. Do not be shy. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I need to know where all of the lurkers are tapping in from this morning. 234 of you are in the building. I better see 234 locations in the live chat and 234 like buttons. I'll be right back. My liquid deaths, baby. You got my liquid deaths in the building. And surprisingly enough, I am not sponsored by these guys, but I might as well be because I am their number one customer. I can tell you that much, dude. Sparkling water is what it is. That's exactly where I'm at. All right, guys. Right before we end up tapping into the defense or the offensive game plan, let's go ahead and see where everyone's tapping in from. Again, I told you not to be shy. I need to know where everyone's tapping in from. Long Island's in the building. Bird, what's going on? Newsburg, New York is in here. Dirty Jersey. Queens, New York. Los Angeles is in the building. Rochester, New York. La Fitness, New York. Is that a real place? Stillwater, Oklahoma is in here. Dallas, Texas. Dan the Man, JTL, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Rochester, New York is in the building. Rochester again. Waynesville, Ohio. Virginia, Dan. Real Bill P. What's going on, man? Boynton Beach, Florida. Go Bills. Cuba, New York. Central Pennsylvania. Corning, New York. Texas is in the building. Denver is in the building. Tempe, Arizona. The Below is in here. Austin, Texas. Texas forever straight. We have Honesdale, Pennsylvania. Blaisdell, New York. Wyoming. Bronx, New York. Trevor Lawrence's mom's house. I love it. Sackett's Harbor, New York. What are the keys to stopping on third down? Saturn 613. Offensively or defensively? As far as what the Bills defense should do on the Jacksonville Jaguars, just man coverage. I'd say man coverage. I'd say cover one and man coverage, or a cover two, like man coverage shell, with Dorian Williams as your spy mirror player to make sure that Trevor doesn't hurt you with your legs, or doesn't hurt you with his legs. We have El Paso, Texas, Perry, New York, Buffalo, New York, Utica. Man, this is a beautiful thing, man. Shout out to everybody for contributing in the chat, although that I know a lot of you are still being shy and not letting me know what's going on with your world. Dan, let's go ahead and skip all this. Let's talk about the NFC teams so we can see how we match up when we go to the Super Bowl. LFG Buffalo, dude. Man, brother. I'll tell you what, man. I like the confidence. I do. I'm not even going to shame you for your confidence, dude. You know why? Because look, here's something that I have some beef with, okay? And you know what? So I imagine that why you guys watch me is because we at least align in certain ways of life or certain ways of thinking. Don't ever be a fan. Don't ever be a fan that tiptoes on eggshells and says, "Oh, I don't know if we're going to win this game. This team's really good. I think that it's just going to be a good game." That is some pansy vanilla granola boy shit. If you really ride with your squad and you believe it, and you believe that this team is going to win, you shout it from the damn rooftops, ladies and gentlemen. You shout it from the damn rooftops. I've seen so many vanilla granola boys on Twitter, and this is even coming from my own fan base. I love you, and I'm doing you a favor for letting you know. Stop walking on eggshells. Why are you so afraid of a bunch of anonymous profiles that could potentially come back and troll you if you are wrong? Folks, I promise you, you will live to tell the tale, okay? I believe that you guys are so mentally and soulfully strong that there's no way that would impact your life in any which way stretch of the imagination. I've seen so many people be like, "Oh, Dan, why aren't you respecting the Jaguars?" Because I don't give a shit about the Jaguars. I care about the Buffalo Bills. I care about the Buffalo Bills. And let me tell you what, in my opinion, I think that if you genuinely believe that this is going to happen, do it. And here's another thing. And this is why I think, and this is probably an unpopular take, but something I feel like a lot of people should try and incorporate right within their life. In my opinion, being humble is being pessimistic. In my opinion, being humble, I think, is being pessimistic, right? And caring too much about of what people you have no idea know you exist think of you. I've never met a single depressed, confident person in my entire life. So with that information, hold it, love it. Yeah. Do it up, baby. Show the confidence, baby. Wear confidence with pride, baby. Don't let anybody ever shame you for being confident in absolutely anything, okay? And do it, all right? So next time you see someone being vanilla on the internet, all right, check them. Check them, baby. Bills, Chargers win, and I'm streaking down my straight. Me too. Dangling and all, baby. Statement, if we lose, it's time we clean ship. No more excuses. Spags is a better defensive coordinator. Well, let me tell you what, Senke, you're going to be very disappointed because it's not happening. Dan, you wouldn't bet your eyebrows yesterday. Yeah, somebody asked me to bet my eyebrows. Fuck off, brother. Absolutely not. And so I've already shaved my head, right off of a bet. And football, anything could happen. Football, anything could happen, right? Buffalo could go out there and turn the football over twice, and we lose that game. And that's a big key for me. But let's go on ahead and get into the big defensive matchup. And shout out to everybody for tapping in here, man. Thank you for listening to my soapbox of embracing confidence and being so unapologetic about it. Okay, baby? That's what I'm doing, man. I'm going to radicalize all of you. Get up in here. I'm going to radicalize each and every single one of you. I love it. Anyway, Jacksonville Jaguars defensive scouting report. Pretty solid squad based off of what we're seeing, but that does not mean that they are impossible to attack, and I'm going to tell you exactly how you do it. As far as total EPA from a unit, they are third in the NFL, 112.38. With DVOA, so with this team is sixth in the NFL. Weighted DVOA, which really just focuses on the last half of the season, fifth in the NFL, meaning that with strength of schedule, how they perform based off of the opponents that they go up against, pretty damn good defense, right? Fifth and sixth in the NFL, respectively. Passing EPA, third in the NFL, minus 78.62. That is third. Rushing EPA, minus 3.52. 20th. We're going to get there. You wait. Rushing DVOA, fourth. Passing DVOA, seventh. Let's unpack and exactly see how this team ultimately ends up cooking. Okay? How can we attack these guys? Have no fear. I got you. Passing yards allowed, 3,933. That is 19th in the NFL, folks. 19th in the NFL. They have given up 3,933 pass yards. Pass yards per attempt, 6.2. That is fourth in the NFL, or fourth last, if you will. No, excuse me, fourth best. Passing touchdowns allowed, 25. Interceptions, 22. Their interception rate is at 2.4%. In the grand scheme of things, 22. Very impressive. But they only intercept the ball 2.4% of every single pass that they have seen this year alone. So remember that. That number is impressive. Can they do it against the Buffalo Bills, a team that has historically been relatively well behaved when it comes into taking care of the football? I don't know. And here's a big one. How about this? 5 games this year, they have had a 300-yard passer. That is dead last in the NFL. 5 games this year, a quarterback is thrown for 300 yards against them. Is this a Josh Allen game? I don't know. Bear with me. Third down conversion rates in stopping third down conversion, 20th in the NFL. 20th in the NFL. So they are not very good at converting third downs offensively, and they're not very good at stopping third downs when it comes into defensively. Fourth down conversions, they are third, 35.48%. Of course, all of these snaps are relatively limited. And the opponent red zone scoring rate, 19th, 59.57%. Opponent red zone scoring rate. It's completely fine. Moving forward, let's talk about their efficiency. What makes them tick? How can the Buffalo Bills attack this squad? Let's go over this. Turnover-worthy play rate, they are 4.4%. That is fourth in the NFL, meaning out of 4.4% of every single pass that has gone against this secondary, which is quite a lot, folks, it is a turnover-worthy play, meaning that it was either a turnover or it was a drop turnover, or there was a DB that wasn't at the right assignment, where if they were, it would have turned into a turnover. They take the football away. That is their identity. Yak, 1,700 yards, 14th in the NFL. So they're mid when it comes into stopping yak. This Buffalo Bills team, top 5 in yards after the catch created. That's an advantage to the Buffalo Bills, just to tell you that. Yak per attempt, 2.7. That is third. Yards per game, 231.4 in the air. That is 19th in the NFL. Average depth of target, 8 yards, 25th. And explosive play rate allowed, 7.2%. That is fourth in the NFL. Okay? I'm starting to cook a little bit. About where I think this Buffalo Bills offense needs to go. And it all starts with taking all of the underneath shit, generating that yards after the catch in the pass game, and of course, feeding your tight ends. We're going to get there because this Jacksonville Jaguars team struggles tremendously in stopping tight ends. And what do the Buffalo Bills have better than just about anybody else in the playoffs right now? Tight ends. So we'll go from there. As far as what this team looks like, what they're going to look like stylistically. One high safety shell that is 43% in the NFL, that is 24th. Two high safety shell, 7th in the NFL at 48.1%. Zero coverage, or like a zero blitz, if you will, 13th in the NFL. Man coverage, they do not run a lot of man coverage because they are 21.8% of that's 26th in the NFL. It's because they are not very good against man coverage. When forced into man coverage, that is where a lot of these quarterbacks are eating, is when they are in man coverage. Buffalo needs to utilize a lot of motion to identify these things. We need to utilize a lot of heavy tight end packages, 13 and 12, stress them where zone coverage needs to be thrown out completely out of the window. And that is how we end up opening up this passing attack. That is what we do. Followed by that, nickel, folks. They are operating at nickel more than anybody in the NFL. Close to 60% of the time, meaning light boxes against the run. And as far as coverage, you're only ever seeing two linebackers out there. Very rarely do you ever see a third linebacker. In various situations where most teams would, you never see a third linebacker for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wouldn't be shocked if there is not a single snap all game where you do not see this team go out of nickel. Yeah, base at 25%. And then you have dime at 15.63% at the end of the day. Opposing receiver open rate, top 10, 35.6% of the time a receiver is open. And opposing wide receiver wide open rate, that is third in the NFL, 6.1%. These are the coverages in which that they run for the vast majority of all of their gameplay. If you guys play Madden, or you grew up playing Madden, I think you know how to attack each and every single one of these coverages, right? With cover 3 is their most efficient and most utilized coverage. It's cover 3, minus 13.49% EPA. That's 0.06 per play. You have cover 4, which is their second most. You have cover 2, which is their third most, and cover 6 is going to be their fourth most, followed by cover 1. So a relatively well-balanced type of attack, but you're going to see a lot of cover 3. It's almost double, so they're number 2. Let's see how that plays out. Jaguars passing defense vulnerabilities. In fact, I'm curious about something real fast. Hold up. Josh Allen's most effective passing EPA versus particular coverages. Let's see what we got on that one, and then we'll continue here in a bit. But this is where we're all at. We have a super chat here. Let's talk about this here for a second. Newbie Driver is saying, Jax fans / media is confident. Why do they believe they will win, and why are they wrong? Shout out to Keon. Go get him. We have Newbie Driver coming into the building. So I feel like, I'm never going to shame a fan base for being confident in their team. I'm not, right? So they've won 8 straight, and they should be excited going into a home field playoff advantage. But what this team and this fan base and the media has not yet admitted, and I really think that it's going to come to a pretty harsh reality once kickoff happens, is that this Buffalo Bills team was by and large the worst matchup that they possibly could have had for wild card weekend. Say that the Jags were to ultimately end up getting the 2nd seed, or say that they were to end up getting, say that they were to end up getting, so with the 2nd seed, then I think that the AFC Championship would have been Bills and Jaguars. But what the media and Jacksonville fans are not acknowledging is that this is by and large the worst possible matchup that they could have. Because when I look at their defense, so it reminds me a lot of what the Buffalo Bills defense was last year. We knew that the Buffalo Bills defense had its flaws, right? But why did it look good? Why did people think that we had a great defense? Or why did we feel confident in our defense? It was because we were able to take the football away. And it really mirrored, or it took away a lot of what truly was wrong. So I look at what this defense offers, and for the most part, you're seeing quarterbacks rip their secondary apart. Of course, they do get some pretty well-timed interceptions that flip field position, but can you truly rely on that? Like we saw it this year with the Buffalo Bills defense, all of a sudden, so the propensity of us being able to take away the football has diminished significantly. And now we've seen some problems within this squad. And now they're welcoming a quarterback right now that has one of the best touchdown to interception ratios really of all time when it comes into playoff quarterbacks. Like with Josh Allen and this offense, just don't turn the football over in the playoffs. So is that something that they're really trying to rely on? It's just like, oh shit. Like, yeah, like we just need to take the football away a couple of times against this team. I don't know. So my question to you is, what if they don't? Like, what if Jacksonville doesn't like take the football away? How many points is Buffalo about to score? So that's kind of where my thought process is. And I mean, we'll go from there. Anyway, let's talk about Jaguars passing defense vulnerabilities. What do they struggle with the most? 13 personnel and 12 personnel right there. 10 sometimes, but 10 is such a small sample size. I mean, whatever. But it's 13 and 12, and this is something that Buffalo actually does very well against. And this is something I think Buffalo is ultimately going to be rolling out quite a bit. Very effective against 11, 21, and 22. So for those of you that absolutely love seeing like the 2 tight end and 2 running back sets, that's something that Jacksonville actually does relatively well against. Weakest players in coverage. Juan Thornhill, safety. He is allowing a 92.3% completion percentage. He's a backup. Dennis Gardeck, he's a backup as well, 81.3% completion percentage. Their starting linebacker, 81.9% completion percentage allowed this year, something to look at. He is right next to Devin Lloyd. Greg Newsome has allowed 5 touchdowns this year, and Jordan Lewis, cornerback, 4 touchdowns as well. Greg Newsome was in a red non-contact jersey yesterday. I'm sure he's going to play, but will he be limited? Is this a Brandon Cooks type game where he could take advantage of some of these matchups? That's a different question. I don't even know right here. Now, let's talk about this one because there is a big debate going on the internet right now that Buffalo shouldn't run the football because Jacksonville's run defense is so good. And when I hear that or I read that, I'm just like, dude, come on, brother. Sometimes good versus good works, folks. When we went into Pittsburgh, we were going up against, at the time, a top 5 run defense as far as yards per carry, as far as stylistically. They had all the answers with all of their key pieces for the most part. And what did Buffalo do? They spammed the same play over and over and over again, and we had James Cook go for well over 120, 130 yards all purpose. Sometimes when you are good at what you do, like the Buffalo Bills, which is the best running offense in the NFL, I'm not straying away from that. I'm not straying away from that at all. We have a better offensive line than they do have a defensive line. They present the lightest fronts on the face of the planet, folks. They operate out of nickel, all right? Very rarely do you see them stack the box. It is a very low percentage. They rely on their athleticism of being able to stop the run off of very light fronts. James Cook averages with 6-man fronts, folks, 6.3 yards per carry. That is against every single run defense on the face of the planet. But let's talk about the Madden numbers or the box score numbers, surface level of how you look at it. Yards allowed, first, 1,455, but they have seen the fewest attempts, 369. 369 attempts. Teams just don't really utilize running against this team. Perhaps it has to do with the fact that you could throw all over their damn secondary. Yards per carry, 3.9. That is 5th in the NFL, and rushing touchdowns, 13. That is 11th in the NFL. Followed by this. We have Jaguars run defense versus run types. And everyone's talking about why is this team so good at stopping the run? It depends on what sort of run type you are operating with. And this goes into a key of how I think this Buffalo Bills team is going to exploit that. When it comes into most yards against the carry, they are allowing 4.2 yards per carry. That is 19th in the NFL when Buffalo ultimately ends up running inside zone. I'm not sure about you guys, but I will take 4.2 yards per carry all day. Followed by that, outside zone, 3.8 yards per carry. That is 8th in the NFL. I'll probably take 3.8. And that's on average, folks. We have it above. Listen, we have the best running back in the NFL. So in my eyes, when I look at their averages, I'm going to add bare minimum an additional 1.5 yards per carry on each and every single one of these run types. It's just what it is. Followed by power. And this is something Buffalo doesn't typically utilize a lot of. That is their best. And they are only allowing 2.6 yards per carry. Man duo. Oh, man, we remember man duo. And so we ran that play 30 times in a row against Pittsburgh. They are allowing 4.3 yards per carry at 18th and counter 3.7. So as far as how to run against this team, this Buffalo Bills team needs to spam inside zone, outside zone, and man duo. That is what they have to do. This Jacksonville Jaguars team, they have so many light boxes. So they run out of nickel. It's almost always two linebackers. We need to take advantage of that. If they stack the box, we have James Cook still going for well over 4 yards per carry on stack box situations. He's just that good. He has great vision. He finds his gap responsibilities, and then he's lethal once he ends up getting into the second level. So run the damn ball against this team. I could care less about their box score stats. I could care less because as long as we do it strategically, this is a game where we have James Cook go for well over 75 yards. In fact, here it is. This Buffalo Bills rushing attack, not including Josh Allen, will eclipse 125 yards. That is a hot take. And that's a take and a hill that I am willing to die on. It's how you run on them is how you can get them. And that's what I'm doing. You have inside zone and then also man duo. We're looking at 18th at the end of the day. Last but not least, we have the Jaguars defensive line. 27th in sacks. That is 32 quarterback hits. They are 16th. Pressure rate, 26.8%. 26th in the NFL, and a sack rate of 4.6%. 29th. Just no matter how you look at it. And so the Buffalo Bills, as far as pressure of which that Josh Allen has been able to generate as far as that plays out, it's mostly been with blitzing. It's very rare. If Jacksonville wants to rely on organic pressure, and so against the number one offensive line in the NFL by a significant margin, especially at the tackle position, it's going to be much of the same for them. So they're not going to be able to get pressure on JA-17. And so they're just not. So here are my offensive keys. Number one, 13-12 personnel. Those are the personnel packages that Jacksonville struggles with the most. They struggle guarding tight ends. This needs to be a Dalton Kincaid game. This needs to be a Dawson Knox game. I also think that Buffalo needs to ultimately end up taking what the defense gives him, right? It's going to be a lot of nickel. They are going to have opportunities for him underneath. We heard Josh Allen talk about in his press conference before this that he was self-scouting from the season, and lo and behold, he said the exact same thing that I was saying earlier this season, where he was missing a lot of things underneath. He admitted to that. He's locking in. He's going to make all of the right decisions, and this is going to be a game where Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox go absolutely nuclear. I can assure you that. 13-12 personnel and involve tight ends in the passing game. I would also argue don't shy away from targeting Brandon Cooks. Greg Newsome has given up 5 touchdowns on the outside, and also get Khalil Shakir going with the yards after the catch model. They are so allowing about middle of the pack when it comes into yak. So something to put out there. Next up, as far as what I need this team to do, don't turn the football over. Do not turn the football over. If Buffalo goes into this game and does not turn the football over, then we're going to score 35 points. We will score 35 points against this team. And with Josh Allen, we'll have well over 300 plus passing yards. The only way that Buffalo loses this game, and I promise you this, clip this, this is true. The only way Buffalo loses this game is if we have 2 or more turnovers. That is the only way. That is the only way. If Jacksonville is unable to take the football away from Buffalo, they do not have a shot in the gun range of beating this team. They must take the football away twice. I'll even give Josh Allen one, or I'll even give a fumble to James Cook, one of them. That's all that I have to do. If Buffalo goes out there, takes care of the football, nothing is stopping this offense. And it will be a mutiny. And then number 2, like 2A, limit penalties. Thankfully, we have a referee that calls the fewest penalties across every other official in the National Football League. So I think he's going to be swallowing the whistle quite a bit. Don't put yourself in 3rd and long situations, although that this team in Jacksonville struggles in 3rd down. So just play clean and complimentary football. And that just goes with penalties, and then that goes within taking care of the ball. That's just like largely on how it is. And then last but not least, run the damn ball. Run the damn ball. I could care less about their box score statistics. I really could. And so we have the best running back in the NFL. We have the best run blocking offensive line in the NFL. And this team is giving up 4.7 yards per carry with the number one one run type that Buffalo spams over and over again, or the top 2 run types that Buffalo utilizes quite often. It's inside zone and man duo. There's no excuse. It's just how it is. And then I double check something real fast. All right. That's what it is, baby. That's what it is. Just take care of the damn football, Josh Allen. Because when I ultimately ended up looking at this, and so I was super curious about this because so I saw what Jacksonville likes to run from a coverage perspective. And I said, okay, they love running cover 3. And cover 3 just so happens to be something that Josh Allen is moderately effective against. Slightly above average. He has 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on cover 3 and 149 passing attempts and 17 sacks against cover 3. Least effective is cover 0. So that's where he struggles against. And then he's super effective against cover 4. He's super effective against cover 2. And he's super effective against cover 6. So something to think about there. But as far as my final score prediction, so I think this is going to be a heart attack Buffalo Bills game. I really do. I think that we're going to go into the half. I think we're going to be down at the half, 21-7. And so I think that Jaguars fans are about to be flooding my live chat saying, oh, the Bills, I thought you guys were going to win. And then like true Buffalo Bills fashion, with us being the highest scoring second half offense in the NFL, and with us having a top 3 scoring defense in the NFL, I think we score 24 unanswered points. And we ultimately end up winning 31-24. It's my hot take. It's kind of where I'm at. 31-24. So the Buffalo Bills are down 21-7 going into the half. And so half of y'all are annoying the shit out of me right in my live chat at halftime saying that everyone needs to be fired and it's over. But then like true Buffalo Bills fashion, we are going to score 24 unanswered points. And then maybe the Jags have a field goal from Cam Little. Maybe. 31-24, Buffalo advances. And there's no disrespect to Jacksonville, but like I said, it's tough to beat the Buffalo Bills when you can't take the football away. It really is. It really is. And say that Jacksonville was the 2nd seed, I genuinely believe that Jacksonville would have met Buffalo in the AFC Championship. I genuinely believe that. This is the worst possible matchup for Jacksonville. It really is. It's the worst one. Bang, bang, baby. Bang, bang. All right. Let's go on ahead and get into a Q&A segment, folks. As you know, as far as my Q&A segments are concerned, I need all of you to label them appropriately. So make sure if you have a question that you would like me to answer, just label it with a Q and a colon. And if you have a statement that you would like me to react to, please label it with an S as well. So that way I can differentiate between people yapping amongst themselves or things that are directed to me. Can we just have the lead at the half and then shut the door in the second half and move on? Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, man? Look, so I have a theory of why the Buffalo Bills start slow. And so a lot of it doesn't have to do with play calling and doesn't have to do with any sort of conservative like looks. It has everything to do with we are just wildly undisciplined when it comes into penalties in the first half. 60% of all penalties that Buffalo has had this year has been in the first half, right? And when you really think about it and you look back, we have so many drive-killing holding calls or drive-killing false start calls or drive-killing offensive pass interferences, you name it, that completely ruin our momentum. And like we're in 3rd and 20, for example, or 3rd and 15. Most of those situations, folks, have been in the first half. But then for some odd reason, whether or not that it's the NFL officials swallowing the whistle or Buffalo really just figures it out and says, all right, we can't get away with some of these things that we often have. That's the difference. That's the key as into why Buffalo starts slow and just looks great in the second half. It's not play calling. We just shoot ourselves in the foot more often in the first half for some odd reason. So if you want to fix this Buffalo Bills offense in the first half, all you have to do is do that. That's about right, Dan. We always let them get ahead, then we figure them out. I think that that's likely what it is. Question, is Oliver's original injury all healed and he would be playing if he didn't injure his knee? Yeah. And funny enough, he injured his knee while he was rehabbing his bicep, which makes it even more frustrating. But, I mean, how do you do? How do you do, pal? Go Bills. Truth, absolutely. Gabe Davis revenge game. He's probably going to be an X factor here. And so to be honest with you, right? And so I think what the Buffalo Bills game plan is going to be able to run the football. And with Gabe Davis, a hell of a run blocker. And so you know who else is a hell of a run blocker? It's somebody y'all hate. But you can't take that away from his game, Cam Newton. Keon Coleman's a stellar run blocker. It's Captain Cookie's coming on in here, and I like it. And do you like that we have a first game Sunday? I think I'd prefer the mid. We're like 8-1 in our last 9 1:00 games. So we're 8-1 in our last 9 1:00 games. And it's supposed to be some pretty good weather in Jacksonville on Sunday. It's like not too hot. It's like 64 degrees, I think overcast. I think they were calling for rain yesterday, at least toward the beginning of the game, but then it kind of clears out afterwards. It's going to be a good one. And so I appreciate your optimism going into this weekend. Need the Bills to win. I live in the belly of the beast that is Jacksonville. I got to tell you something about these fans, man. So I will acknowledge that every single fan base has like super annoying people. But for some odd reason, more of the annoying people from the Jacksonville Jaguars fan base have been coming to light than others. Like maybe I'm just not looking right the right places. But yeah, dude. Wildly sort of uninformed and delusional. It's wild to me. Like when I see so the Jags 40-3 or like 51-13, I'm like, you really think that one of the best playoff quarterbacks in the history of the game is now putting up 30 points against your squad? And look at all the Buffalo Bills losses this year, minus that fluke of a game down in Miami. Like all of our losses have been by less than a touchdown. It's just how it is, man. Like we play good ball. It's just how it is. So the thing that worries me the most about y'all coming from a Pats fan is the decimation of y'all's defense at the corner and DL, but hoping y'all make it to the AFC Championship versus the Patriots. So it's the line which is more so decimated as far as our cornerback room. We just need to get out healthy, right? Because Maxwell Harrison is not going to be out there, but don't sleep on Trey White. And so he's been playing very well for his age. He's been fine. And with Benford is the one of the best out there. In your scenario, how do the Bills hold so the Jacksonville scoreless in the second half? So it really depends on what they do during the first half, right? We've seen this Buffalo Bills team make a lot of very varying adjustments depending on what the game script was for the opposing offense in previous weeks. Like, we've just done it, right? As far as like what we hold teams, and this is collectively all season long, we've held teams to 9 points in the second half. That's third in the NFL. It's basically adjustments. Like, how I think that Buffalo is going to play Jacksonville is that we are going to try and force you guys right in the third down situations where this Jacksonville Jaguars team is 20th in the NFL. They're just not very good on third down. I think that Christian Benford is going to be following Jacoby Myers. I think that Washington will probably have a pretty good game against us, but Buffalo is just going to pick their poison, right? Right, because like you can't stop everything. So like in my eyes, I'm like, okay, who is going to consistently hurt us and who is only going to occasionally hurt us? So I think Parker Washington is only going to occasionally hurt you, where Myers is more of your consistent beat down, like third and long conversion type wide receiver, gotta have it type player. So he's going to be shadowed by Christian Benford all day, hopefully putting him away entirely. And just a lot of man coverage. And so I would say, especially since Trevor Lawrence, for the most part, like he doesn't have the best completion percentage in man. It's like 58% opposed zone. And as far as y'all's wide receivers, while they are big play type guys, yards after the catch is toward the bottom of the league. This is not what they do. They're practically possession receivers. So that's kind of how I think Buffalo is going to tackle it. But again, I'm not on the coaching staff. And so I'm just a guy theorizing for fun on the internet. It's crazy that once Jacksonville gets to midfield, they're in field goal range scoring. Yeah, for sure. That's exactly why this Buffalo Bills offense can't afford to have a slow first half, right? And how we avoid having a slow first half is avoiding penalties. It's just how it is. Statement. And the Chargers at Bills at Highmark Stadium for the AFC Championship would be absolute cinema. I don't think that this LA Chargers team is going to survive the first round. That's me. I don't see the Jags kicking 65-yarders unless they absolutely need to, because if they miss it, that's a turnover at midfield. Question, would you bench Palmer for Coleman? Yeah, I would. For this game specifically. What Buffalo should have done with Josh Palmer, in my humble opinion, was that we should have IR'd that guy. Dude should have been put on the IR and allowed him to heal up, but we just didn't have that opportunity, right? We were just so slim at that position. But based off of how Jacksonville plays, so I think having two of your best run blocking wide receivers on the field is a recipe for success. It's just how it is. And so I was very impressed with our defense against Philly. That felt like a playoff-ready defense. Indeed. Imagine if Bean wasn't useless and got Myers or Waddle. So okay. So I want to ask you something. Where do you think the Buffalo Bills rank in points per game, Mike? So where do you think that the Buffalo Bills rank across this league in points per game? Where did we finish, chat? Let them know. Where did the Buffalo Bills rank at the final of the season, points per game? What did we do? I'll tell you. Second. Second in the AFC. Second in the AFC. Fourth in the NFL. Just 2 total points away from the Seattle Seahawks, who have Cooper Kupp and JSN. Exact same amounts of yards as the Lions, who have Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. I'm sorry. I love you. I just hate the wide receiver argument. I just hate it. I want a wide receiver next year, but this whole fantasy land of that you can only have an elite offense if you have a wide receiver on the outside, it's false. It's talking points. It's talking points. It gets people jazzed up and upset about things. But, like, look, as much as I would have loved to have Jacoby Myers on this team or whatnot, and so this team is still scoring, 29.3 points per game, practically 30. Like, we're the fourth highest scoring offense on the face of the planet. And so if you wanted to sign a wide receiver this offseason, guess what? No James Cook. So do y'all want the days back where we had Stephon Diggs, right? But, like, we had no run game and no yards after the catch? Like, you have to pick and choose. So this isn't baseball, right? Like, there is no unlimited salary cap right now. So, like, why I agree I want a wide receiver this offseason, we had no money, dude. Like, we had no money. It's just how it is. And plus, when you look at Jacoby Myers, he just ended up getting signed to a 3-year extension, like, worth $60 million. What if that had something to do with it, right? Like, what if that had something to do with it? Where, like, he was just like, yo, come on in and then roll up. Someone's saying this. No, Dan, Josh needs a reliable wide receiver. Elite quarterbacks don't need an elite wide receiver. Elite quarterbacks don't need an elite wide receiver. They don't. They just don't. It's been proven time and time again that elite quarterbacks don't need it. When people say that your quarterback, oh my God, like, my QB is the best. By you saying that he needs another wide receiver when he has the best offensive line in the NFL, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, the best running back in the NFL, he's elite by himself, that's disrespecting QB1. That's disrespecting him. Vast majority of all of the dream wide receiving cores in the NFL right now are not in the playoffs. I highly doubt that. So the Patriots are an elite wide receiving squad. Doubt that. Have the Lions, same amount of points as the Buffalo Bills, no playoffs. It's because they had a shit ton of issues with their defense. It's because they didn't have enough money to be able to spread around and find reliable guys. Of course, the injury bugs are going to hurt. But, like, it's just tough. It's just tough. He needs one reliable wide receiver. He has Dalton Kincaid. He's the number one pass catcher on this squad. He's the number one pass catcher on this squad. 31 points a game when he's healthy, 27 when he's not. And don't tell me, oh yeah, but, like, he's never healthy. It's the exact same thing. If we didn't have Dalton Kincaid, then say that we had Justin Jefferson and he went down for 4 or 5 games. So the whole thing about the whole wide receiver thing is just brain rot, and it's stupid, and it's disrespectful to who this quarterback is. He's so good. I want him to have a wide receiver next year because I like improving my team each and every single year. But half of the reason why I don't like having this conversation is because this is, like, very so annoying behavior. Because who are we going to sign right now and to help us with the Jacksonville Jaguars? Nobody. We have this guy saying Dalton is always hurt. Okay, what if we were to end up getting Jalen Waddle and, like, he tore his ACL like week 1? So with injuries happen, dude. Look, half of the time you guys don't remember what it was like when we had a quality wide receiving core and we couldn't afford to have a quality offensive line and we couldn't afford to have a quality run game. It's pick and choose, folks. It's pick and choose. We're 4th in points. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, people act like this is like one of the worst offenses in Bills history. If this is one of the worst offenses in Bills history, we're literally 4th in the NFL for points. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about right now. It's silly. It's silly. Look at the Eagles. Yes, look at the Eagles. And so they scored 13 points against the Buffalo Bills, and they have scored significantly less points than the Buffalo Bills this year. And so do you want to know where the Eagles rank like this year, Mike? It's names y'all are obsessed with. And so the Philadelphia Eagles, look at this. Team rankings Eagles. And so a team with just stellar wide receivers, man. Oh, my God. Stellar wide receivers like the Philadelphia Eagles, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They're 19th in the NFL for points, fool. They're 19th in the NFL for points. It's not that I wish our wide receiving room is better. It's not that I wish that we couldn't have one guy in here. But my point is this. There is a fallacy. There is a fallacy going around that you can only have a good offense when you have a wide receiver. It's bullshit. It's stupid. It's brain rot. Stop listening to people that tell you that it's true, because it's not. You don't need a wide receiver to be an elite offense. You don't. I don't know what else I can show you. I don't know what else I can show you. I don't know a damn thing. I don't. See, the problem is this, right? So the problem is this. Most of us only remember highlights and lowlights. Highlights and lowlights account for 7% of the game, like 9% of the game, maybe. But nobody looks at it from a consistent standpoint. Like, people will pull up. So with people will go on ahead and they will pull up 5 plays from a game. And they'll say, oh my God, look, nobody's open downfield. Chat. You literally point every single team in the NFL. I can point out 5 plays every single game. Both teams had 5 plays where a wide receiver wasn't open down the field. Everybody on the face of the planet thinks that there's some magic offense that has a wide receiver open 100% of the time. Everybody thinks that that's the case. It's just stupid. It's dumb. It doesn't exist. It's a magical offense that you have put into your minds that just doesn't exist. Like, when I end up pulling this up, look, like, I always like pointing this out to people. And look, at the end of the day, this is the beauty about covering sports, because regardless of what I say, and no matter how much tangible evidence I show you, all the tangible evidence I show you, you've already decided where you align in this topic before I even started speaking. That's the beauty of life and debate. People only listen and accept takes from people that they initially agree with. Very oftentimes, or very few times, are people actually open into like looking at the bigger picture. But for the few of you that maybe I can get to, hopefully this helps. When it comes into, so the quarterback that sees the most open receivers out of anybody in the NFL from a percentage point, I'm not talking about highlights and lowlights. I'm talking about consistently. The number one quarterback that has the most open receivers is Aaron Rodgers at 47.6%, meaning 47% of the time a wide receiver is open. 53% of the time, nobody's open, right? And then look at this. Josh Allen's top 10 in the NFL. 41.1% of the time, a wide receiver is wide open for him. A receiver is open. I don't care if somebody has a wide receiver right as their position. I could care less if the tight end is the one receiving the football. All I care about is points. All I care about is moving the football downfield. I could give a shit if our leading receiver was a fullback. If that gets me 29.7 points per game, sign me up, especially with the quarterback that we have. So this whole fallacy of, oh, no, you only have a good offense if you have a wide receiver on the boundary, give me a break. With Josh Allen has more open guys to throw to and to choose from than a lot of the quarterbacks that everybody loves. Jalen Hurts. Guess what? With Josh Allen has more receivers to throw to than him. Jared Goff, surprisingly enough, everybody covets their wide receiving room, 17th in the NFL. How about Matthew Stafford, 22nd in the NFL? He has 36.2% of the time a receiver is open for him. It's just, don't allow people to brainwash you. Don't allow people to brainwash you. That's how I'm going to leave it. I understand you're never going to be on top, or like you're never going to agree with me because your mind's already been made up. I'm giving you so much, critical evidence, but at the end of the day, we will just agree to disagree. I want a wide receiver in the offseason. Sorry, I'm on my soapbox. I'm very passionate about this. Don't take it too seriously. I love all of you. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into my final score prediction for the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to be a good one, but it's going to be 31-24. 31-24. Give me the Buffalo Bills to win this one. Solid run game. As far as so hot takes. Number one, so the Buffalo Bills running backs, not including Josh Allen, go for well over 125 yards on the ground. Number two, 0 takeaways. In fact, I'm going to add on to this one. Buffalo wins the turnover battle. We take the football away twice. Jacksonville does it 0. Flip the damn script, baby. Third hot take with Christian Benford holds Jacoby Myers to 2 receptions for less than 20 yards. That's what it is. Will Bosa dominate this game? I don't know. I really don't know. Matt Prater is going to play. Is that official? Let me see. Is that official? Let me see. Haven't seen anything officially official from it. So I do know that he's going to practice, but other than that, not much. All right. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tapping into another edition of the Dom Mafia Report. I love all of you. Okay. I love each and every single one of you. I know that I get passionate about certain topics. All right. But thankfully, I'm dealing with a bunch of adults that never take anything I say personally. I love each and every single one of you. Please. Oh, supers, Richie. You're right, man. My bad, dude. Dude, how about them soups, baby? Let me get up in here. Streaking, we got Richie right here saying, you might have to hype Z-Bot up a little more today. I think he's still a little nervy-worvy. Shout out to Bills Roundtable, baby. Bills, Eagles, Super Bowl. Don't worry. I'm going to get on Z-Bot. I'm going to make him a believer. Question, Jax fans, media confident. Why do they believe that they will win, and why are they shout out to Keon? Yeah, I already read that one. I appreciate that. And then Richie Fresh, last but not least, you fired up, and I love it. Check Supers quick. I'm lit. My guy, Rich. I appreciate that, dude. Love each and every single one of you. Shout out to all my regulars. Shout out to the newbies that have tapped in for the first time. And we'll see you next time, y'all. Peace.